We are at the Toronto International Film Festival after an afternoon screening of the Midnight Madness film Acolytes, and with me is director Jon Hewitt. Now, Jon, we were just talking about one of the underlying themes of the film. The theme that really drives everything is the shame that these boys feel over the sexual abuse.
Yep.
Tell me how that aspect of the story looked like at the beginning when you came on board, when the script was written, to what was in the finished product.
Okay. Yeah, it's like the main subtext of the film, or that for me that's sort of what the film is about. The issue that Acolytes is about. It's about some teenagers whose lives are destroyed by sexual abuse. In the original draft of the script, it was more bullying. Like they were sort of the Gary Parker character was a bully, and he bullied them at school, and they just didn't like him, and the first thing that I thought when I read the script was I'd sympathise with their sort of homicidal tendencies, just to get back at some guy who slapped them around a bit or stole their play lunch. I mean, it just wasn't significant enough event for you to go with them in their sort of revenge. Well, me anyhow. I was a bit like, get over it, dudes. It's a bit of bullying. It's tough, but get over it. He doesn't have to die for that. But also, through my own life experiences and friends and stuff. I grew up a Catholic in Australia in the 60s, so I know a little bit about sexual abuse, and I just wanted that to be what the in a subtextual way, what the film was about, because that's really sort of flown right under the radar, Eric. I mean, you're the first person who's actually talked about that.
And also the thing that struck me too is that when you have this kind of sexual abuse in a film, it's a much older character on a young character. There's not much of an age difference between the abuser and the abused.
Yeah, it's generally some salivating old pedophile, who's not some sexy young dude who was 17 when the kids were 12, and you know what I mean? And also, for me, the Gary Parker character, they're people that I know, people that I've experiences that I've had, and experiences that I've been a part of. I think there's a huge amount of sort of sexual abuse between young people. It was going on when I was a kid. Kids being raped and abused by other kids, who were generally older and were able to, physically bully them and all that sort of thing. But it was sexual. It wasn't like they used to be fucked and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted the film to be about that, so that it's a generic chiller for a teen audience, but at its core is an incredibly significant issue, but it seems to have flown under the radar. Nobody has, in the film's life so far, nobody's really talked about that.
Well, I'm glad you've taken the opportunity to talk about it a little more.
I have to say one thing though. This is very interesting. We did a test screening for a bunch of teenagers of the rough cut, which was a great thing to do. But the best bit of feedback I had, I'll try and be quick so you can fit it in. All these teens said, you know what? I wanted to know that Gary Parker dude had fucked those kids early on, because it wasn't enunciated until that final scene where he goes, "Do you want me to?" Where he says to the girl, he says, "You want me to say that he fucked us and we let him?" That was the only time it was enunciated. So I recut the film and did a bit of ADR, so that when they're talking in that bedroom, he says, "He raped us, Mark. Now we're going to make him pay." So they actually enunciated the fact that they'd been sexually abused by that character, because the teens were feeling it, and what they said was that we thought that was what the film was about. So they were guessing, it's about fucking sexual abuse, and we've picked it, and we're only 20 minutes in, and and they're going to reveal it at the end, and that's going to be what the film's about. And then, but when it was revealed, like 20 minutes in, they went, Oh, well, that's not what the film's about. Okay, well, forget about that. That's about something else. It was a really cool bit of feedback to get, because they were all going, that's what all these teens were thinking. Like, there was this unanimous thing. I just wanted to know so we could concentrate on the film and not think it was about sexual abuse. Just know that it was about sexual abuse. That was a really, really cool thing. I'd never have done that unless I got that feedback.
Well, on a slightly happier note, I also want to thank you for promoting the stereotype that nobody in Australia drives a car with anything less than a V8 engine.
yeah, that was. It's a HQ Holden with a Premier front, 308 V8, but it's like the white trash, cheapo V8 vehicle. Beautiful car, absolutely beautiful car. You know, the mechanic sold that to somebody for $1,500. He took the wheels off because they were probably worth about $1,500. But he told me that when we had our screening in Queensland, the guy who built the car, we blew 3 diffs making the film, but they're cheap to replace, right? Because the motor was such a big fuck off V8, and it was like a 3-speed diff. You know, a couple of times it blew the diff. But yeah, it was such a cool car. I love that car. Australians love sexy cars. We're just like Americans.
That's right. Well, for Midnight Madness, thank you very much, John.
Cheers.